Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone. Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about two qualities that are deeply intertwined in any form of meaningful leadership: leadership and courage. These two concepts are often spoken about in the same breath, yet when we dig deeper, we discover that true leadership cannot exist without courage. Leadership doesn't come from a place of certainty or perfection, but from a willingness to step into discomfort, take risks, and show vulnerability. Let me share with you, courage is often misunderstood as a trait that involves fearlessness or invulnerability, but in reality, courage is rooted in vulnerability. At its core, courage isn't about showing no fear. It's about showing up even when we're afraid, uncertain, or unprepared. It's about taking risks and facing challenges head on, even when the outcome is unknown. Be courageous is to embrace the fact that we might fail, we might be hurt, or we might be misunderstood. But we move forward anyway because we believe that what lies beyond the fear is worth pursuing. When we talk about vulnerability, we tend to think of it as a weakness. We're taught to protect ourselves, to be guarded, to hide our flaws, and to appear invincible. But true courage comes when we let go of the need to appear perfect. It's about allowing ourselves to be seen for who we truly are, flaws, fears, and all, and still standing strong in our convictions. Vulnerability is not a lack of strength, it's the willingness to show up as our true selves, without armor, without pretense, and without the guarantee of success. And eventually that leads to over-trying. In leadership, this is especially important. Leaders are often expected to have all the answers, to always appear confident, and to make every decision with certainty. But true leadership is about being honest with ourselves and others. It's about acknowledging that we don't have all the answers, that we might fail, and that we might need help along the way. Vulnerability allows us to connect more deeply with the people we lead because it humanizes us. It shows that we are not infallible, that we are on the same journey as everyone else, and that we are willing to grow alongside them. Being vulnerable requires immense courage because it means opening ourselves up to the possibility of judgment or criticism. It means being willing to face discomfort, to feel exposed, and to risk rejection. But through this vulnerability, we build trust. When we show up authentically, we invite others to do the same. Vulnerability fosters connection because it demonstrates that we are all in this together, facing our fears and challenges side by side. And in that shared space of openness, we find strength. Strength that comes from knowing we are supported, seen, and understood, even in our moments of doubt. So while courage might look like an outward show of strength or action, it is truly the inner courage to be vulnerable. It's the willingness to take off the mask, to admit our fears, and to keep moving forward anyway. In this way, courage and vulnerability are not opposites. They are intertwined, each amplifying the other. Without vulnerability, courage loses its power. Without courage, vulnerability can become paralyzing. Together, they form the foundation of authentic leadership. One that doesn't just lead others to success, but leads with heart and integrity. Leadership, at its core, is not about being in charge or exerting control over others. It's about connecting with people in a way that inspires them to bring their best selves to the table. When we think about leadership, we often envision a figure standing at the top, directing people from above, making decisions for them, and telling them what to do. But this kind of leadership, rooted in control, can often lead to disengagement, resentment, and a lack of trust. True leadership comes from a place of connection, where influence is built through empathy, understanding, and shared goals. To lead from connection means recognizing the inherent value of the people you are leading. It means seeing them as individuals, each with their own experiences, perspectives, and aspirations. It's about stepping into their shoes, understanding their challenges, and offering support and encouragement in a way that resonates with them. When leaders connect with their teams in this authentic and meaningful way, they create an environment of trust and mutual respect. In this space, people feel empowered to contribute their ideas, voice their concerns, and take ownership of their roles. Control-based leadership often creates an atmosphere of fear of making mistakes, fear of speaking up, and fear of challenging authority. People become more concerned with maintaining their position or following orders than with being creative, innovative, or fully engaged in their work. In contrast, when leaders prioritize connection, they foster a sense of psychological safety, where individuals feel free to express themselves without fear of judgment or reprimand. This leads to greater collaboration, more open communication, and a higher level of engagement from the team. Leading through connection also means being vulnerable and human, rather than trying to project an image of invincibility. Leaders who are willing to share their struggles, admit when they don't know something, or ask for help, create a sense of shared humanity. When leaders connect with their teams on this level, it makes it easier for others to do the same. This openness builds trust, and trust is the bedrock of any successful team or organization. Furthermore, leadership that is based on connection allows for more effective problem solving and decision making. When people feel seen and heard, they are more likely to contribute their unique ideas and perspectives, leading to more creative solutions. Control-based leadership, on the other hand, tends to stifle these contributions because it leaves little room for collaboration. By connecting with your team, you tap into a wealth of knowledge, experience, and creativity that can drive innovation and success. Leaders who focus on connection understand that their role is to guide and support their team, not to dominate or dictate. They're there to help people grow, to provide them with the resources and encouragement they need, and to challenge them in ways that promote personal and professional development. This kind of leadership is about fostering an environment where people feel valued, understood, and capable of achieving their best work. At its essence, leading from connection means putting people first. It's about recognizing that leadership isn't about controlling outcomes, but about creating the conditions for success through relationships. When leaders prioritize connection over control, they build teams that are resilient, adaptable, and motivated by a shared sense of purpose. They create spaces where people feel supported, empowered, and ready to tackle the challenges ahead together as a unified force. In the world of leadership, growth rarely happens in moments of comfort. In fact, the most significant breakthroughs, both personal and professional, often arise from places of discomfort. As leaders, we are constantly asked to step into situations that challenge us, stretch our abilities, and require us to confront parts of ourselves we might prefer to ignore. The willingness to be uncomfortable is not a mere trait or skill. It's a mindset that shapes how we approach challenges, adversity, and change. Embracing discomfort as a natural and necessary part of leadership is crucial for several reasons. First and foremost, it is in those moments of discomfort that we are forced to grow. When everything is smooth and easy, there is little incentive to evolve. But when faced with difficult situations, whether it's navigating a tough conversation, managing a crisis, or stepping into the unknown, we are pushed to develop new ways of thinking, to rely on our resilience, and to innovate. The discomfort we experience in these moments is the fertile ground for transformation. It forces us to dig deeper, reach higher, and expand our understanding of what we are capable of achieving. Leaders who avoid discomfort often end up limiting their own potential and that of their teams. When we stay in our comfort zones, we stagnate. We miss out on opportunities for growth and risk becoming complacent in our roles. Leadership demands that we continuously evolve, not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of those we lead. The willingness to be uncomfortable is what drives that evolution. It's about showing up in ways that make us uneasy, whether that's taking on a new responsibility, making difficult decisions, or engaging with others in challenging ways. It's about stretching ourselves beyond what we thought was possible, trusting that the discomfort will lead to progress, even if it doesn't feel good in the moment. This willingness to lean into discomfort also cultivates authenticity and vulnerability. When we step into uncomfortable situations, we often have to let go of the need for perfection or control. We may have to admit that we don't know all the answers, that we might make mistakes, and that we're still learning. This vulnerability can be unsettling, but it's also powerful. By embracing discomfort and being transparent about our struggles, we invite others to do the same. It creates an environment where authenticity thrives and where people feel empowered to take risks, share their ideas, and grow alongside one another. It reinforces the idea that discomfort is not a sign of failure, but a natural part of the process of becoming better leaders and better people. Moreover, discomfort is essential when it comes to leading through change. Change is uncomfortable by nature. It challenges the status quo, disrupts routines, and often causes uncertainty. But if we as leaders avoid the discomfort that change brings, we are not leading. We are simply managing. Leading through change requires a willingness to navigate the ambiguity, the uncertainty, and the fear that accompany it. It means making tough decisions with incomplete information, trusting that we will adapt as we go, and supporting our teams as they also face the discomfort of transition. If we can model this willingness to be uncomfortable, we not only guide our teams through change more effectively, but we also help them embrace change as an opportunity rather than a threat. The willingness to be uncomfortable is also an essential part of creating a culture of innovation. Innovation requires risk-taking, and risk-taking inherently involves discomfort. When we encourage teams to explore new ideas, try new approaches, or venture into uncharted territory, we must be prepared for the discomfort that comes with it. The fear of failure, of making mistakes, or of not knowing what the outcome will be can be paralyzing. But true innovation comes from pushing past that fear, from being willing to experiment and iterate, and from accepting that discomfort is an inevitable part of the process. When leaders are willing to embrace discomfort in the pursuit of innovation, they create an environment where their teams feel empowered to do the same. It's important to recognize that discomfort is not the same as suffering. There is a difference between choosing to step outside your comfort zone and putting yourself in situations that are damaging or unnecessarily harmful. Discomfort is about growth. It's about stretching our limits and challenging ourselves to do things we haven't done before. Suffering, on the other hand, is about enduring pain without any clear path to healing or improvement. As leaders, we must be mindful of the distinction and ensure that the discomfort we encounter is purposeful, helping us move forward rather than keeping us stuck. Ultimately, the willingness to be uncomfortable is a sign of courage. It requires us to confront our fears, face uncertainty, and step into situations where we might not have control. But it is also through this courage that we build strength, resilience, and wisdom. We learn more about ourselves, about others, and about the world around us. By embracing discomfort, we become better leaders, not just for ourselves, but for the people we serve and the organizations we lead. Discomfort is the birthplace of transformation, and as leaders, we must be willing to lean into it. knowing that it is a key part of the journey toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. Failure is often seen as a setback, a roadblock, or even a reflection of our inability to succeed. Yet true leadership is not about avoiding failure at all costs, but about daring to fail, learning from those failures, and rising again with greater wisdom, strength, and resolve. The willingness to fail and then stand up, dust ourselves off, and try again is one of the most powerful qualities a leader can possess. It's not the absence of failure that defines great leadership. It's how we respond to it that makes all the difference. One of the first steps in embracing failure as a part of leadership is shifting our mindset. Rather than seeing failure as something to be feared or avoided, we can begin to view it as a necessary component of growth and progress. When we step into new ventures or try something innovative, failure is often a part of the equation. Every successful leader, entrepreneur, or innovator has encountered setbacks, faced rejection, or made mistakes along the way. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is their ability to rise after falling. Leaders who are willing to fail are not defined by their failures, but by their ability to pick themselves up, reflect on what went wrong, and use those lessons to move forward with renewed purpose. The fear of failure can be paralyzing. It can keep us from taking risks, trying new things, or pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. But this fear also limits our potential. If we refuse to fail, we refuse to grow. The greatest achievements often come on the other side of failure. By daring to fail, we give ourselves the freedom to experiment, to make mistakes, and to take the chances necessary to achieve something truly remarkable. The willingness to fail opens the door to possibility. Because without failure, we are only operating within the confines of what we already know. And we are never challenged to step into the unknown. In leadership, failing publicly can feel especially daunting. Leaders are expected to be examples of strength and certainty, and the idea of failing in front of others can feel vulnerable and humiliating. But true leaders understand that their failures do not diminish their worth or their ability to lead. Instead, they use their failures as opportunities to model resilience, humility, and accountability. When a leader owns their failure, admits their mistakes, and demonstrates how they plan to learn and grow from the experience, they set a powerful example for others. This vulnerability in the face of failure builds trust and shows their team that it's okay to take risks, to fall short, and to rise again. It creates a culture where failure is not seen as shameful, but as a natural part of the learning process. Rising after failure also requires a deep sense of resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, to remain committed to our goals even when we encounter obstacles. It's about being able to adapt to changing circumstances and overcome the emotional and mental toll that failure can sometimes bring. Building resilience takes time. It requires a mindset that views challenges as opportunities rather than threats. Leaders who cultivate resilience understand that failure doesn't define them. It refines them. They view setbacks not as signs that they should give up, but as chances to pause, reflect, and re-strategize. Resilient leaders know that falling down doesn't mean they've failed. It simply means they've taken a step toward eventual success. Learning from failure is another critical aspect of daring to fail and rise again. It's not enough to simply experience failure. We must extract the lessons it offers. Failure provides insights that success cannot. When we fail, we have the opportunity to look at what went wrong, identify the gaps in our thinking or execution, and make adjustments. This is where growth happens. Leaders who are willing to fail embrace this learning process with curiosity and humility. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this? And then they apply those lessons to future endeavors. This commitment to learning ensures that failure doesn't go to waste. It becomes a valuable stepping stone in the path to success. Moreover, when we fail and rise again, we build confidence, not in the absence of failure, but in our ability to handle it. Confidence doesn't come from always getting it right. It comes from the certainty that we can face adversity and still move forward. Leaders who fail and rise again show their teams that confidence is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent, being open to growth, and never giving up on what matters. So this kind of leadership inspires others to be bold in their own pursuits, to take on challenges, and to embrace the inevitable failures along the way as part of their journey toward success. Daring to fail also builds character. It teaches humility, patience, and perseverance, qualities that are essential for any leader. Failure strips away any illusions of perfection, reminding us that we are human and that every setback is an opportunity to strengthen our resolve and our integrity. A leader who has failed and risen again is someone who has demonstrated grit and determination. They have weathered the storms, learned from their mistakes, and come out the other side with a greater sense of purpose. This kind of leadership isn't just about achieving goals. It's about showing others the way to rise when life knocks them down. In the end, the most successful leaders are not those who avoid failure, but those who embrace it, learn from it, and rise again. They're the ones who understand that failure is not the end, but a beginning of learning, growth, and renewed commitment. So as leaders, we must dare to fail. We must face the fear of failure head on, knowing that each failure is a chance to rise higher, to grow stronger, and to become better versions of ourselves. Because in the end, it's not the failures that define us, it's the courage with which we rise after them that truly shapes our journey. One of the most profound qualities of a truly great leader is the ability to make others feel brave. Leadership is not just about making decisions, setting goals, or driving success. It's about empowering those around you to believe in themselves, take risks, and show up with their own courage. When a leader can inspire bravery in others, they create an environment where people feel free to step out of their comfort zones, challenge themselves, and pursue their full potential. This ability to cultivate bravery is what separates great leaders from those who simply manage. To make others feel brave, a leader must first create a sense of psychological safety. People are unlikely to act with courage if they feel that failure, mistakes, or taking risks will be met with punishment or criticism. True bravery requires a foundation of trust and support. Leaders who make others feel brave foster an environment where people are encouraged to take chances, share their ideas, and express their vulnerabilities without fear of ridicule or retribution. When people feel safe to be themselves and to try new things, they are more likely to step up, speak out, and take risks, knowing that their leader has their back, no matter what the outcome may be. This kind of environment doesn't just happen on its own. It requires intentional effort from leaders to communicate trust, provide encouragement, and model the very bravery they hope to inspire. When a leader leads by example, showing vulnerability, taking risks, and facing challenges head on, they send a powerful message. It's okay to be scared, it's okay to fail, and it's okay to keep going despite the fear. Leaders who make others feel brave are not perfect. They don't have all the answers, and they don't always succeed. But they show up anyway, which in turn gives others permission to do the same. They model resilience, adaptability, and the courage to face the unknown. Leaders also make others feel brave by recognizing and celebrating their strengths. When leaders highlight the potential in others, they validate their capabilities and instill a sense of self-belief. Encouragement from a leader is not about offering empty praise, but about recognizing people's true talents, hard work, and contributions. When people feel seen and appreciated, they are more likely to step forward with confidence, knowing that their leader believes in them. This recognition builds their internal courage to take on new challenges because they feel equipped and valued, ready to rise to the occasion. Another way leaders make others feel brave is by pushing them gently out of their comfort zones. True growth happens when people are willing to venture into unfamiliar or difficult territory. A leader who makes others feel brave is one who challenges them to stretch their boundaries, take on new responsibilities, and attempt things they may not have thought possible. What if these challenges, though uncomfortable, provide opportunities for growth, and when people are supported through them, they develop greater self-assurance? Leaders who encourage others to face their fears in a supportive way help them build the confidence to tackle even bigger challenges in the future. A key aspect of making others feel brave is cultivating a culture of collaboration and shared vulnerability. When people work together in an environment that values openness, they are more willing to take risks and show their true selves. A leader who fosters collaboration doesn't just ask people to contribute. They create spaces where everyone's voice is heard, valued, and respected. In these spaces, people feel safe to experiment, fail, and try again, knowing they are supported by their colleagues and their leader. This sense of community and shared purpose makes bravery feel more attainable because it reminds everyone that they are not alone in their journey. Leaders also make others feel brave by offering mentorship and guidance. Leadership isn't just about telling people what to do, it's about helping them see their own potential and guiding them toward achieving it. A leader who invests in the growth and development of their team members provides them with the tools, resources, and encouragement they need to succeed. This guidance can take many forms: offering advice, sharing experiences, providing constructive feedback, or simply listening. When leaders invest time and energy into their people's development, they build their confidence and sense of capability, which empowers them to take bold steps forward. At the heart of making others feel brave is the belief that everyone is capable of greatness, even if they don't see it in themselves yet. Great leaders see the potential in others before they can see it themselves. They believe in their people, even when they doubt themselves, and this belief becomes a powerful motivator. When a leader sees potential, they communicate it in ways that inspire the individual to believe it too. They encourage people to take risks, pursue their dreams, and step into leadership roles, knowing that the journey might be challenging, but that they are capable of overcoming obstacles. This belief in others gives them the strength to be brave, to face adversity, and to press on despite the obstacles they may encounter. Leadership is about building others up, not just for the sake of success, but for the sake of their own personal growth. By making others feel brave, leaders instill a sense of empowerment, showing their teams that they have the capacity to tackle the toughest of challenges, try new things, and take risks without fear of failure. This sense of empowerment is contagious, and as one person begins to feel braver, others around them are inspired to do the same. A culture of bravery spreads, and the entire team becomes stronger, more innovative, and more resilient. And ultimately, the role of a leader is not to create followers, but to create more leaders. Leaders who make others feel brave are teaching their teams to trust themselves, take initiative, and step into their own power. They are shaping future leaders who, in turn, will inspire and empower others. This cycle of bravery not only strengthens teams, but drives organizations forward, creating environments where creativity, innovation, and success can thrive. When leaders make others feel brave, they don't just transform individuals, they transform entire cultures. In conclusion, leadership and courage are not separate. They are two sides of the same coin. True leaders embody courage through vulnerability, connection, discomfort, resilience, and empowerment. It's not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it that defines great leadership.